all roads lead to this. That's pretty much all I've got to say apart from this one. We have now been here for 4 days, and everything comes together today. This is going to be where the squads really show what's going on. Now, $180,000 is on the line here. First place is going to walk away with 80K of that. There is a lot to be said here, Lauren. There is a lot of things on the line. All the teams kind of have been practicing for this moment. These are the guys that have obviously, we heard yesterday in a little video, Liquid, they've been to a team house. They've been gearing up for this one. This is where everything comes to a point now. It's kind of step up, step out. Only top 4 are going to get paid.
Yeah, this is a huge moment. Everyone, at least in my eyes, especially the competitive teams, have been eyeing up the squads. I think, you know, we're going to see the highest caliber that we're going to see throughout this tournament. They've been preparing, they've been playing the online leagues. This is going to be a very, very, very competitive element to this entire week of PUBG. So I'm super excited for this, but we're not going to get there just yet. There's a couple of bits beforehand that I've already heard are quite cool.
Yeah, we do have a couple of little interviews here and there. We've got a lot coming. This game's obviously been, it's advancing its development phase. There's a lot of differences going on. There's a lot of changes coming. And even today, I think it broke a new concurrent play record. 805K, I think.
Did it beat Dota?
I don't think it did. I think Dota's still about
just
20
holding
30.
on.
Yeah, it's still holding on for dear life.
It's not bad for a game in its early stages,
it's not at all.
But yeah, the community's been pretty insane so far for this game. It's been kicking off. I think we've seen the highs and lows throughout this tournament, but I think yesterday for me, Andy's moment was just, that to me just says, you know, we're so close to having something brilliant here. It was like the 7 kills he went through. There was like 4 to 5 at the end that were just sublime. I think there's a couple of clips of it out there already on the internet, so make sure you watch the ending of that one. But yeah, there's so many great moments we've seen so far. I think first person to me was a big highlight. Seeing that in action was really, really impressive. Then down the line, I think squads will be the next piece that works really, really well for me. So yeah, I'm excited for these kind of elements to come through.
Well, speaking of development and progress, before we talk about exactly what's gone on in the past and what's obviously going to be happening today, it's my pleasure to throw it down to the stage. We have Cameron with the Gunplay and animation lead and the Gunplay programmer to talk a little bit more about the future of Battlegrounds.
Thank you very much, guys. Yes, I am joined by Merritt Krasowski, the gameplay programmer, and Pavel Smolewski, the animation and gunplay lead, to talk a little bit about the current developments of Battlegrounds, specifically the vaulting mechanic. Why did you decide to implement vaulting in the first place?
Well, initially we didn't plan for vaulting. It was always nice to have feature, but after playing the game on alpha and beta and seeing how players play the game, we saw that this jumping alone is not enough. Players were getting stuck. The movement mechanic was very clunky. Didn't look realistic, so we decided that we actually need to implement a system for the player to cover the obstacles much easier. So yeah, it was based on pretty late in development.
All right, and what was initially shown at E3 to begin with?
So at the time of E3, the vaulting system was still in a design phase where we were making necessary assumptions, sorting out the prerequisites, and generally drawing out the outline of how the system or the feature will look like. And for E3, we decided to show just the animations and how we imagine the feature to work in game.
Okay, and what has been developed since that video has been released?
So on E3 we saw the animations, but we had to put those animations in game, translate the animations into player movements. We had to develop a geometry scanning technique which would pick the correct animation, which would, like we can see here, scan the object in front of the player and perform the correct translation of the character itself. So this is still under development. It's a pretty big task, but hopefully it's going to come as soon as possible into the game.
All right, what's left to be developed for this mechanic before it can get implemented, as you said?
So there are many cases in the vaulting system that need to be handled because the obstacles vary a lot as we use the dynamic geometry scanning. So, for instance, there can be very narrow windows that you want to vault, or there can be very wide objects that you want to slide across. And for that reason, we need to come up with a lot of variants of animations. On top of that, we have different heights that you can scale. So that these can be very low objects, but they can be also very high, like way past the height of the character. And for each of these cases, you need a different animation. We are working on TPP and FPP modes at the same time. So again, the amount of animations actually gets duplicated.
All right, what are some challenges that you face developing this vaulting mechanic?
So the biggest challenge was that the vaulting system itself was the idea for it was very late in development, and we had to develop the geometry scanning technique. So the world was already built, and we had to make vaulting work with our world instead of adjust the world for the vaulting. So this was the issue. It took like a month to prototype alone. It's still under development, but we're seeing very good progress. And there's a lot of work regarding to testing. We don't want to ship it kind of not finished product. We want to make sure it works, just because it's going to change how the game is played very drastically.
Yeah, what are some expectations for as far as how it will change the game, the current meta, the current gameplay that we've seen?
Well, I'm pretty sure the change will be massive. It will fundamentally change the way you move around the map. It should facilitate the movement in a very cluttered areas, such as container areas or military base, where you have many objects scattered around, but they all are in the like vaultable or climbable height. So on top of that, you have the CQB fights inside the buildings. And right now, you usually have just one or two ways of entering the building through the doors. But with vaulting implemented, you will of course, be able to enter the house in many different ways and surprise your enemy, basically modifying every player's tactics to not only account for the doors as main entry points, but also every other vaultable position.
Okay, and what sort of possibilities has working on this vaulting mechanic opened up for you guys for future development of the game?
So initially we designed this to be only vaulting and climbing system, but we had in mind that this system should be extended in the future, maybe covering different types of obstacles. So we have a possibility of extending to add ledge grabbing or sliding or anything that we want. We didn't make any plans for this. We're just saying it is possible, and our new map we'll take this into account, because the old map we had to make vaulting work with it, but the new map we already decided that we're putting it in, so we actually can make the map much more fun to play.
All right, well, thank you both very much.
Thank you.
They're still going to continue developing on this mechanic before it goes live in a short time. No time frame for that yet. But once it does go live, the developers will be monitoring community feedback. So if you have any feedback that you're going to want to give once the mechanic goes live, feel free to post on the official Battlegrounds forums, and they'll be sure to see it. Thank you very much, guys. But I'm going to toss it back to Sims and Pansy so we can get to our first game here of Squads Saturday.
Thank you very much indeed, Karen. I tell you what, it's a very deep game as it is, and you can do an awful lot, but that animation and being able to vault, and not only vault, but kind of climb, it's going to add such a new meta to the whole diverse and complex gameplay that's already there. Yeah,
for me, I love movement within games. I think it's actually one of the brilliant kind of skill ceilings you can have. I was just watching Quake a moment ago, and I was so excited watching Vu, the way he moves around the map. And it's a skill set. For me, it's another added feature that I love in this sort of game. I think it's going to be actually really fun to watch who kind of really puts into practice. I can only imagine in Georgia Pole, you know, the kind of walled-in areas that are actually quite hard to fight around. That's all open for fights now. You can easily traverse through, back away. These fights are going to be more mobile. You don't have to just be so static. There's so many possibilities that are going to be so exciting to watch throughout this. I for one, am really, really damn excited. And I know everyone else is. The community have been seeing glimpses of this, and you can tell that they've wanted to get it right, which I like. They're not rushing it. They're not going,
agreed.
Let's just put it out there, because we know what it's like. If movement doesn't feel good, if it doesn't feel fluid, you're kind of like, oh, this is horrible, this is clunky, it ruins the whole environment of the game. So it's good to see them taking their time on it and really coming in when it's ready to show us what they have.
And I really get the feeling that this whole game is built off the backbone of that, listening to feedback, listening to what people have to say, the community out there. And again, you kind of heard it. If they don't like it, if there's problems, then they'll just knock it on the head and kind of revert back. But this is still, obviously, early access, still early days. We've already seen a glimpse of some of the terrains being changed, a new map that's in development, which does look a lot different, very close, lots of houses, lots of places to go. And you know what, even looking at those mechanics of the vault and stuff, it's just going to make your triggering life even better when you get into Pachinki and everyone's just bopping between houses, bopping between roofs.
It's going to be fun.
It's fun. That's the best thing about this.
It's fun. So like right now, I think there is a skill ceiling and there is a skill set for people who have good movement so far in the game. I guess before people learn how to bind out the crouch jumping through windows, you know, getting onto the rooftops in certain areas, I like having skills like that. I think it's not a bad thing to have mechanics being able to be kind of pushed in certain ways, and you know, you have to have a skill to exploit it in a way. I like the way that now they've opened it up. It's like, all right, now you get everything available to you. Now everyone can get into this, and you'll see that people get really good at it. Some people don't need it, bear in mind. And I also didn't get one of these tattoos. I don't have it on my face. If anyone can bring me one, I will put it on mid-show. But also we can start talking about squads and who's been playing well so far up until this point. I'm going to save it for a little bit to really dive into the dynamics of, oh, why do you look stoned?